Okay, good afternoon. So today we're just going to go over some general, hair coloring guidelines and some other things. Oh, before I get started, I want to make sure that everyone knows to either start your lesson tracker or text in and let us know that you're starting your time right now. Everyone take a second to do that if you've not already done that. Okay, remember, texting in and letting us know that you're starting or starting your session tracking tool, that is like clocking in when you come in for today or for the day. So you want to make sure that you are getting the time that you're on here and you're getting credit for what you're doing. If you are just on these Zoom calls only, you're only going to get those 3 hours for Zoom and that's it. You will have a assignment that's due at the end of it, and you need to come up with another 3 hours of doing the assignments that we give you, not just what you feel like doing, the assignments that you're given for that particular class, so that you will make sure that you're getting all of the hours. Those assignments will have to be text in. Okay, we always tell you to take a picture of something and to text it in. That's how you're getting credit for your assignments, so you can get the other portion of your hours. So make sure that you're clocking in somehow, either by text message or lab session tracker. Make sure that when you're finishing your assignments that you're taking a picture of them and texting them into us so we have a record of that. And when you're finished for the day, make sure that you're either using your lab session tracker to clock out or you're texting into us saying, hey, I'm done for the day. That way we'll know exactly how many hours to give you and what to give you.
What number do we text?
Because if you're just number is 209-526-2040. It's the school's main number. Okay, for those that didn't get that, it's 209-526-2040.
We just put check in, or we just send a picture?
Just say clocking in. Yeah, just say clocking in, and then when whatever assignment we asked you to do, just send a picture of it.
All right, thank you.
Hey, you're welcome. It's pretty easy. Just make sure you're clocking in and you're clocking out, because that way we know exactly what to give you. Because we were just doing time. Miss Sue and I were sitting in there all morning doing everyone's hours from last week going, okay, looking at it again. So just want to reiterate that to everyone to make sure that on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, or if you're not coming to school yet through the week, that you guys are following this along, because there will be assignments sent out to you also. So check those text messages, because that's pretty much how we're going to communicate with you guys, to send you a text. So just, we just want to make sure you're getting all the hours that you're supposed to have.
Wait, so are we only doing Zoom Tuesdays and Wednesdays now? Like everybody's back on campus?
No, not everybody. So I would check with Miss B or Miss Jen if I were you, Mercedes, and just double check and see what their plan is over there, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Well, they have a different schedule than we do, okay? So the first thing that we want to make sure with color is that no one is allergic to the color. Now I know that some of you have been here for a while, so this is probably old to you, and some of you are brand new, so you've never heard of this before. And then some of you are probably in the middle and you probably heard of it, you just don't remember, or maybe you weren't here and you didn't pay any attention or something like that. It doesn't ring a bell. But there's this thing that we call a PD test. That PD stands for predisposition test. It also could be called a patch test. It could be called a PD test, and it could be called a skin allergy test. I've actually seen some facial products that call it a skin allergy test. That one was new to me because I was like, what is this? But if you read it, you'll find it. All hair color has this in the fine print that tells you to do a skin allergy test or a patch test, or maybe even a skin spot test. There'll be some of those words that mean check this stuff. So what they're saying is you're going to put a little bit of this color on this person's skin, and you're going to let it sit there for 24 to 48 hours, and you're going to check it to make sure that they don't have an allergic reaction. Okay, hair color has this ingredient in it that's an aniline derivative tint. It's called paraphenylenediamine, or this other one that I can't even pronounce, that's about, let's say it's about 18, 20 letters long. And what this is like I said, it's aniline derivative. So people have allergic reactions to it. Now, if you look all over like YouTube, you can find all kinds of videos from people that had allergic reactions to hair color. Some of them are pretty severe. It can go anywhere from some redness to a rash to itching to swelling to like a anaphylactic shock where, you know, like if you get stung by a bee and you got to give yourself a shot of adrenaline to save your life. It can go anywhere from just, you know, very mild symptoms to super severe symptoms. So the whole idea of this is to make sure that this doesn't happen to the client that you're going to be doing hair color on, right? Because what do we want to do? We don't want to like kill anybody. So we want to make sure that, you know, we double check this. Box color that you buy at the store says this. Any type of color, basically, if it has a developer, if you mix two bottles together, if you mix something into it, it's going to have a PD test on it. There's even some facial products that say that you have to do a PD test on them. And there's anything, like if you have a client that's like allergic to everything, I mean, I'd do it for a hair gel, even if that was that type of client. So it's really important that we, you know, we do this. So how often do we do this? Well, it says every single time. And the reason being 24 to 48 hours before you have a hair color that they're saying you got to do this every single time is the fact that your hormones are changing within your body. So it could be causing an allergic reaction. Now, check with the manufacturer, because some of them will say, you know, every 3 months, 6 months, every time. I mean, just double check with the manufacturer. And it doesn't mean that just because somebody's been coloring their hair for, you know, 20 years that it's not going to happen, because it can. You know, you could be coloring your hair the same color for 20 years and all of a sudden you have an allergic reaction to it. And it can happen like that. So, you know, just because people say, oh yeah, I do it all the time, doesn't mean it can't happen, because, right, they're internally, your hormones are changing. So what you want to do when you get ready to do this PD test, and by the way, at State Board, when you take your State Board test, you have to do a PD test at State Board. So you really need to learn to do it, right? I mean, it's important to actually do this test. So what we have here is we have our lovely model, this lovely looking little model right here. Now, the rules or the procedure, not the rules, the procedure says that you can do it either behind the ear, kind of like right in here behind the ear on the neck, or in the bend of the elbow, where the elbow bends. Now, for most part, behind the ear is probably a little bit better because that's closer to their head. And the reason why you have to wait so long, you wait 24 to 48 hours, is because your body absorbs. So as it's absorbing this product, it's got to make its way through your bloodstream. So this is why we wait. It's got to circulate around. So we doing a chemical service. So our client is going to be double draped. Now I know that this doll isn't really the same size as a person, so I'm going to just wrap this towel around here a way that you would never do a person. Remember, we're going to go from the back to the front, and I need to make sure that this fits, so we're not going to drape someone like this. But I want to make sure that the drape actually is going to stay. So I'm going to do some little fancy draping on a doll head to make the drape actually stay. And because this is a chemical service, hair color is all in a chemical service, I would be using a chemical drape, which would be more of a vinyl plastic.
Quick question.
Yes.
So if you have to do that, if that stand test takes 24 hours to bring back the results, someone can't walk in the salon and ask to get their hair colored and you do it right then and there. They have to come back the next day.
Yeah, that's what they state. Yeah. Yeah, I know people don't do it like that out there in the real world, but let me just say that if a client ever had an allergic reaction, and comes back to try to sue you, you're going to lose. It's just all there is to it, because you didn't follow the law, you didn't follow the directions, you know, you're going to lose. So even if you have them sign a waiver, you still lose, because even though they're waiving the rights away, you still didn't follow the manufacturer's recommended procedure. So you got to make sure that, you know, we do all these things correctly. So I've got her all nice and, you know, draped up here, and I'm going to do this procedure like right behind the ear here. So what you do is you get a piece of cotton, right? We're gonna get a small piece of cotton here. Cotton, I don't know how you say it, right? Everybody says it different. Cotton. And we're gonna get some cleanser. And we're gonna clean about the size of a quarter, like, you know, a quarter with George Washington's face on it, you know, that you put in a quarter machine, a quarter behind the ear here. So we're just gonna wipe it. We're not gonna do anything super like aggressive or a lot of strength on it. We're just gonna cleanse it off real lightly. And then we're gonna let this air dry. Okay, while it's air drying, this is the time for me to get my product. So you put your gloves on, because it is a chemical, right? We have to wear gloves anytime we're doing a chemical. So we put our gloves on. You know, some of you have probably done this procedure before. But I'm sure there's a lot of it. A little bit of our product, our color. And when you mix a color for a PD test, you want to mix the color that is close to the color that the client wants, because the darker the color, the more aniline derivative tint you have in there. So we want to make sure that we're not putting like a light blonde on someone that's getting their hair colored a dark brown, because it won't be close in the amount of aniline derivatives. So the darker the hair color, the more aniline derivative. So what we want to make sure is that we're at least within one shade of what they're wanting. Doesn't matter on the tone. If they're getting a medium or a dark brown, like a neutral brown, and you put a golden brown, it's totally fine. That doesn't matter, but we want to make sure that the level color stays the same. So if we're dark, we're staying dark. Okay, so you could even do like a red brown, a dark red brown would be fine. So we get a little bit of this color. You can use cotton, you can use what do you call it? A Q-tip, you know, but you don't want to use a brush. It's got to be something soft like cotton or not a toothpick, a Q-tip. Okay, so we just come in here, we put a little bit behind the ear, and we don't want to like rub it in like lotion, but we don't want to leave like a big blob of it on the side of her neck either. So we just want to make sure that we apply it on there. And this goes right into the trash, right? Because we're done with it. Goes into the trash. And then we let our client know that a little bit of discoloration is totally normal, right? Because we're putting hair color on their skin. So it's totally normal for them to have a little bit of discoloration. But if there's any redness, itching, rash, what else could there be? You know, bumps, anything that's not normal other than discoloration, they should not get this service done. Okay, I've actually only seen once in my life somebody who had an allergic reaction to a PD test. It was actually when I was working here, one of the instructors goes, "You ever seen anyone having a reaction to a PD test?" And I go, "No." She goes, "Do you want to see it?" And I go, "Yeah." And I ran up there real quick to see what it would look like. And it was just a rash, just looked like a rash. They did it on the bend of her elbow. And the reason why, if you do it on the arm, you do it like right where the elbow bends on the inside, is because that's where it's going to be used the most. So there's like a lot of friction right there. So that's one of the reasons why you would do it right there. So we would undrape this client now and tell her like, "Okay, you know, we'll see you tomorrow. What time would you like to make your appointment?" And then we go in and we make an appointment for her. And after that, we have a consultation form. This is the one that we use here at school. Can't really see that, huh? But this is kind of like what it looks like. There's a place right here at the top for a PD test date, product used. Okay, so it says PD test date, product used for PD test, student performing PD test, and then the instructor doing the client consultation and formulation with the student. So we just fill this out. We give an estimated price and then our estimated color formula. Then there are some things here for you to fill out. Like, remember those 4 things that you always have to fill out no matter what when you're working with someone, like the density, right? How many square inches of hair the person has on their head, right? So that's how thick their hair is. So that's gonna let you know, you may need to use a little bit more product. Porosity, how much hair or how much moisture does their hair absorb? So if they're extreme, that may tell us a little bit on the processing time also for the hair color. Okay, is their hair fine, medium, or coarse? That's your texture, right? You got density, porosity, texture, and then length. Is it long, medium, or short? Because you gotta get paid for this product. You can't just let this client take this, come in and she's got like massive hair and we charge her the same price we would charge somebody who doesn't have, nearly half the hair that this client has. So all of that's gonna help you figure out how much product you're gonna have to use, okay? Then there's this thing for color formulations, like the existing color. What does that client have on their hair? What does that client want? That's your target color. What do they want? Do they have any gray? How long are you gonna process that hair for? And are there any comments like, maybe I cut the hair afterwards, or client wants, 5 inches cut off their hair, something like that when you're doing a consultation. Whatever you might need for a note. Not seemed a little indecisive, or clients indecisive on, highlights. Something like that you would write on there and give them quotes for both. So when they actually come in, there's the actual formulation. Some people, because they go home and they change their mind. I was thinking about it last night and I think I want to do this instead of that, or, something. That's what they do. So we're going to have a different, spot if they change their mind to write down exactly what we did. And then who performs the service? So that would be the student. And then the instructor. And then we're going to ask these things like, how do you like your hair color? What do you think? Because a lot of times people are like, oh, it's so dark when they leave here. But then once they shampoo their hair a couple times, it lightens up. So they come back in and you said, oh, last time when you looked at the comments and, oh, you said it was too dark for you last time. Did it lighten up, or do you still think it's too dark? And they'll let you know, like, oh yeah, make it a little bit lighter, or no, that was fine. It was just a little shock because I had so much outgrowth or something. They always have something to say. So really important that when you're handing these, that you fill them out. Because the next time the client comes in, this paper makes your life so much easier. You have exactly the formulation, the timing, what was done. Believe it or not, sometimes time of the year versus summertime versus wintertime is going to make a difference in the timing. It's going to make a difference in the color development also. So those are some of the things that, I'll tell you right now, I hate it when I go up there to get one of these to do a color with a client, and she goes, yeah, I want what I had last time, and there's nothing on there, just her name and date and how much she paid for it, nothing else. It's like, how am I supposed to guess what you put on your hair? Like, yeah, I hate that. So please fill those out. You're gonna hate it too when you're working in a shop and somebody comes in and you don't have a good enough record and they want you to do exactly what you did the time before, or what the girl next to you did and she didn't fill it out and you have no idea. And you're going to be like hating life about that time. So yeah, please fill those out. Makes all the difference in the world. So is there any questions on client record cards or PD tests?
What if they lie about it? Like they got an allergic reaction and lied. Would we still get sued or whatever?
For the PD test, if they're not back within 48 hours, then it becomes void and they have to start all over again. They can't tell you like, oh yeah, I had a PD test 3 weeks ago and it was fine. Yeah, that was 3 weeks ago. So between 3 weeks ago and now, they definitely, it's a voided PD test. They have to do it all over again. It takes 48 hours for that stuff to like circulate through your body. So that's why they say you know, within 24 to 48 hours to get it checked. And if you check it within 24 to 48 hours, and then the client comes back in a week and says, okay, I'm ready for my color, it's still void because now it's been another, you know, a few days after that. So we just need to make sure they're doing it right, unless the manufacturer states something different, right? Manufacturer's directions take precedent over state, you know, directions. So we want to make sure that we're up on all of our product knowledge with our manufacturers. Okay. Any other questions? She says, what if they lie? Clients lie all the time. They tell you stuff and they're just like, oh yeah, I don't have any color on my hair. And you see, you know, the ends are like 3 shades lighter than the rest of the hair. Oh, I put that on my hair 3 years ago. You know, it's gone now. And you're like, what? No, it's not. You know, you can see it. So yeah, clients tell you all kinds of stuff. Those of you that have worked with clients know. I said, Elizabeth shaking her head. She's like, yep, I've had that experience before. Because it's true. It's so true. Yeah, it's real true. Okay, do we have any other questions? No? Okay. So this hair color applications, when you go to state board, you have to do a hair color. Okay, you have to do a hair color. Now, there's 9 different basic color applications out there. Okay. Usually we're going to be doing a virgin lightening technique or a virgin tint to darken. Virgin meaning they have like nothing on their hair. They actually really don't have anything on their hair this time. There may even be a tint retouch or a bleach retouch or a lightening retouch or some type of a retouch, but a retouch is a new growth only type of thing. So with the virgin applications, you have a virgin tint to darken, a virgin tint to lighten, a virgin bleach, and yeah, a virgin toner on pre-bleached hair. All right, so some of these applications are the same. Let's take a second and think about this. Where do we start when we put color on their hair? We either start in the front or we start in the back, right? It's kind of weird to start on the side. It's kind of, let's just start right here and put some color on you. That would be kind of weird because it would be messy. We'd have a mess all over the place. We got to go kind of work like around the head in different sections. So it'd be kind of weird just to randomly grab a piece of hair and start to apply color on it. So what we want to make sure that we're doing is working in the appropriate section. So here's another little hint that if you don't remember anything else, remember this. If you're going lighter, you start in the back. The reason why you start in the back when you're going lighter is because that's where hair is the darkest. Okay. If you're going darker, you start in the front. And it's the same reason. Hair is always lighter in the front than it is in the back. Right in the back of your head, about your occipital bone. That's where your hair is the darkest. You know, the sun doesn't really shine there. You got hair covering it. So it's pretty dark right there. Around the hairline, that's where everybody goes gray first. You know, or sometimes it's even thinner. You know, it's thinner around the hairline for some people, even if they're not gray. It's still thinner around the hairline than it is in the middle of the back of your head. You know, the back of your nape area there, that's where you have the most hair. Right? Right? Yeah? Okay. So I handed this exact paper out last week, and I saw some of the applications, and oh my, oh my, oh my, oh my, oh my is all I have to say. So let's make sure that we're doing this correctly. I really like hair color. So, you know, but we want to make sure that we do this correctly when we're doing it. So if we start with our virgin tint to darken, now remember, this is someone that's never colored their hair before. They want to make their hair darker. Maybe they're getting some gray. You know, maybe they just want darker hair. So we're going to section the hair, and I'm going to show you a few different ways for, or not a few, just a couple different ways for applications for the front section, just because of getting color on their face. You know, they, especially if they have longer hair and you pull that down, it's like bam, right in their face. They get like a big blob of color down their cheek. So cute. So the first thing that we're going to want to do with this, we're going to want to section our hair into 4 sections. Okay, so I have her here. I'm going to section into 4 sections. Now, it doesn't matter if I use a wide tooth comb, a small tooth comb. Pick the comb that is appropriate for the type of hair that you're working with. I actually kind of sprayed this down because it was in a locker and it was sticking up everywhere. So I'm going to part down the center, which is what I have. I'm going to part over here on the side behind the ear. Clip this out of my way. Part straight down the back. We're end up with, but this section. Almost dropped that one. Okay, so the next thing that I want to do is apply protective cream. So the reason I want to apply this protective cream around the hairline is I want to make sure that I'm not getting it all over their skin. And if I do, this protective cream is going to like put a barrier between their skin and the hair color. Now, what I do want to be careful of is that I don't get this on the hair, because it is protective cream. It's putting that barrier there. So if I put this protective cream on there and it gets on the hair, it's not going to color correctly. So the trick to this is getting it right at the hairline, but not on the hair. We do kind of want to go over the tops of the ears a little bit. I don't know if any of you have ever colored your hair before, but you do get stains, you know, on the skin from the hair color. So this will just help not stain the skin so much. If you do get this on the skin, as soon as you get the application complete, remove it. They actually make commercially prepared color remover for the skin. So we want to make sure we do that. If not, sometimes color takes off color, just depending on how dry it is. But we want to make sure we go all the way around the hairline with this. Okay. Once we get that applied, we are ready to apply our color. So again, because I'm getting ready to get color, I got to get my gloves on. And when you go to put the shaving cream in the bowl, don't go like this. It gets runny and it doesn't come out correctly. Hold the shaving cream upright and tilt the bowl. Don't tilt the can. And you get it where it comes out prettier. Just easier that way. Now, as I said before, when I go to look for brushes, I look at the width. You know, all 3 of these are a little bit of a different size. And I look at the thickness going this way and how thick can I get in. This one's really thick. I like the width of this one, but it's really thick. This is just too small for what we're doing. Now, other types of applications, that'll work just fine, but what we're doing, not so much. This one's a little bit thinner, not quite as wide, but I like the design right here. It's easier, I think, to hold on to. So let's start with my color. Now, when I come in to take my sections, I want to make sure if I'm, this first one I'm going to do horizontal. So I'm going to come in and do horizontal partings about 1/4 of an inch wide, not too thick. I know this sounds crazy, but the thinner the section, the quicker your application. Because what happens is the product on the brush, when you place it on, the hair's thin enough, it seeps through to the other side. So that when you're bringing your section back down, you don't have to like put globs and globs of product on it. Doing it this way, believe me, it is better. And it saves you product and it saves you time, and you get a better and neater application. We've got to be neat. We can't just like blob this stuff all over everybody. So I'm gonna start at the scalp and I'm gonna brush up in nice long strokes. I'm not gonna do this little thing. I'll be there forever. I take a nice long stroke, come all the way up and lay this over. About 1 inch from the ends is where I'm gonna go. I'm gonna come back over here. Notice I'm holding it like this between my fingers. I just think it's easier to hold it that way. Keeps it wider at the ends, so I can just bring this up. Crocheting cream doesn't really spread like color, but you get the idea. Lay that over at 1 inch from the ends. I'm kind of working from one side back and forth across the hair like that so I can get a roll of. As I'm putting this tail on the scalp and pushing it all the way across, as I bring it out on the top of this brush, I'm like kind of pinching this hair and pulling that down, and then I have this hair here so I can lift it up.
Miss Holly, to the audience office, please.
No.
Oh, really?
So I just continue down my section. Did you forget I was doing this?
Yeah.
I knew it. Okay, making sure they're staying 1 inch from the ends.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
Maybe someday, huh? Okay, so once I get down to the ends, what I want to do now is pull this down. What that's going to happen with this is that I have an oxidation process that needs to happen, which means it's going to, like, with the product, the way it's mixed, it's going to, I need the oxygen molecule to make this happen. So as I'm pulling this down, I'm just double checking my application on the other side and double checking it and making sure that it's all, you know, thoroughly saturated. Now, when I get done by bringing this down, I'm going to come around and I'm going to outline my section, especially around the hairline. Right here, right at like the sideburn area, this is, if they have gray hair, this is what's going to show first. So this right here is known as the money zone. We want to make sure we get that money zone covered. You cover that, they love you. Okay, so make sure that the hairline all the way around gets done. And that's side one, or one way to do an application. When you pull the hair down, we want to make sure that it's laying down a little bit so we get that actual flow of oxygen through the hair. Don't smash it, don't leave it up, don't put a plastic bag on, don't do anything to it yet. Okay, we're just gonna let it process. Takes about, most color takes 30 to 45 minutes to process. So we wanna make sure that we're getting that processed nice and correctly. This side over here, so as I did horizontal partings, I'm gonna do diagonals. This diagonal is gonna keep it away from the face. So as I come in the back here, notice how small this first parting is because it's on a diagonal going back. Same thing from the scalp up to the ends and lay that over. Come back over here again, scalp up to the ends and lay that over. And as these sections get wider, I may have to divide it into two just so that I can make sure I get it all saturated correctly. So that's the big thing. You don't do this thing with your brush. That's what I saw last week. Okay, I get it. Ha! You did that? No, I don't think so. You did my hair like that and I'd be wanting to shoot you. Okay, so again, it's getting a little bit wider. So I may need to subdivide this, which means I'm going to take, my back half, and then I'm going to go to the front half just because it's easier for me to control. The whole idea of this is that we want to control this hair. We don't want it to control you. When you're going darker, it's easier to control actually than when you're going lighter. So if you're trying to use bleach or do something like that, it's a lot harder to control than going darker. I know you watch videos where they show you apply it to the top section and then apply it to the bottom section. We do get this applied, but there's more efficient ways than putting it to the top and to the bottom and taking these big sections. Take thinner sections. It's going to make your color last a lot longer, and you're paying for it. You're going to want to have it last as long as possible. Okay, so now when you're done again, you just pull it down. Make sure that you're covered. All the hair. Outlining this section. Oh, see, I got some on her face. So this is the case. I would get some color remover, put it on my cotton, and come by and just remove it off their face. Right when I got done with this section, because you can always tell. Can't you tell when people do hair color, especially if they're doing like purple or something? They put their hair up, the back of their neck's always like purple on their skin, or whatever color it is, right? But you see it, so you know it's there. Okay, so I love this process. I would let this, say we have a 45-minute processing time. I would let this process about half of that time, so about 20 minutes. I come along and I want to do a strand test, see how it's developing. So in order to do the strand test, I just want to pull out a little piece of hair. Not so much. Just enough where I can see it. Place it on a paper towel or a towel, something. Put a little bit of water on here, because you have to do a strand test to stay bored too. Put it on the water, dry it off. I wasn't supposed to do that. I wasn't supposed to drop my paper towel, okay? So anyways, I sanitized, got another one, the whole thing. Come back in, dry this off, and then look at it. Like, does it look like it's developed correctly, or do I need more time? If you need more time, you put more on it. If you don't need more time, then you're ready to proceed. So now I need to apply it through my ends. Probably, usually within the last 10 minutes is when you're going to apply it through the ends. So there's a couple different ways we can do that. I like to use this big comb like this with the big white teeth, maybe even wider than this, depending on the hair that I'm working on, and the texture of the hair that I'm working on, but a wide tooth comb. Start at the bottom and comb this through. Just comb it through. Nice and smoothly, make it look good and neat on your application as you comb this through. And when I get down here, if I'm like, okay, I really didn't put it back on, I really didn't get enough down here on the ends of the hair, apply more.
Miss Connie, I have a question.
Sure.
So, when you comb it through, it's not gonna it's gonna still keep it saturated. It's not gonna have it not saturated, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so if you're combing all the hair color out, you probably need to put just a little bit more hair color in it. Usually after it sits here for about, 20 minutes or so, or 30 minutes, it can get a little bit dry feeling, kind of like dries out a little bit. So some of the things that you want to do during the processing time is about every 10 minutes or so, go back and double check it. Go back and look at it, see if you need to add more to it, because if it dries, it's going to stop working. So we want to make sure that hair color stays, kind of in a moist type of around the hairline, especially because that's where it likes to dry out. So we want to make sure that it stays, a little bit wet. If you're combing through it and you're like combing the hair color out, then you probably need to add more.
Okay, thank you.
Don't let it get to that point. Yeah. Okay. So if you applied it this way, you want to do the same thing. Now, if I was coming through it like this, and I'm like, okay, I see where that looks really dry, I would just come in, pick this up, apply a little bit more, kind of bring it down and just come back through. Oh yeah, that's looks like that's a little dry down there. So I'll just add some more, make sure it's really on there so it'll be completely done. Then we'll let this set for about another 10 minutes or however long it's supposed to be. And then we go back to the shampoo bowl. When we are back at the shampoo bowl, especially around the hairline here, it's probably a little bit dry. So you just want to get a little bit of shampoo on your finger before you get it wet. Do not get the hair wet and try to do this. The water makes it set, and we don't want it to be set on the skin. We want it to come off. So just get a little bit of shampoo on your finger and right in the hair color line that's here, just kind of come in and on the skin and just do like these little circles like this and just remove it. You're going to find a lot probably right along the hairline and right around the ear area here. So just work it around with some shampoo. Once that gets started with the shampoo, then you can go ahead and rinse it. Okay, just rinse the hair once you get that all worked up with the hair. Sometimes when you're rinsing it and you put the water on it, you might want to take the shampoo and work it around a little bit more like this just to get it off the skin. Because nobody wants to go around with a line of hair color stained on their forehead. So once you get that all rinsed out, then you shampoo it, usually twice, right? Rinse, rather, repeat. Usually twice, and then you want to condition and make sure that the water runs clear. Afterwards, you could put on your sealer or your pH balancer just to sort of help bring that back, kind of doesn't really lock it in, but it just helps it maybe stay a little bit more. And you can put that on there and it'll stay for I don't know, 5 minutes or something, and then rinse it out. But again, know the kind of conditioner that you're using and know the kind of shampoo that you're using. Is it color safe? Are you using shampoo for color treated hair? Is it, is it gonna not fade the color out? Especially when your client goes home, make sure that they're aware that they now, since it's a virgin hair color, if they're buying something out of any store like Walmart, chances are it's not going to be so great for their hair. So that's an opportunity for you also to educate your client and maybe get an extra sell on getting them some shampoo and conditioner that will help their color look vibrant and last longer before it fades out. Okay, so after about 2 to 3 weeks, they're going to start seeing that line of their natural hair color growing out. Retouches are done about once a month, once every 6 weeks, just depending on how fast someone's hair grows. So when we get ready to do the retouch, on a retouch to darken, retouches are 1 inch. Anything more than an inch, inch and a half, when they get 2 inches or more, that's not a retouch anymore. That becomes a corrective color. You have more work to do, especially if it's going lighter, and I'll explain that in a minute. But going darker, retouches are just the new growth. only new growth. Okay, so it's 2:55 right now. Let's go ahead and take a break. Okay, we're back. Does anyone have any questions on the tint to darken?
I do actually. So you started in the front because you said you were doing the hair darker. If you were doing the hair lighter, then you start in the back.
Right.
Okay.
Yep, that's correct. We actually are going to go over that right now in just a second.
So when you're like sectioning the hair and then you say start from the back or the front, you're doing like the 4 sections, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Basic 4 sections. And so most things, unless otherwise specified, are going to be like those basic 4 sections. So when they say section, unless it's, you know, said like, oh, do a rectangle on the top or something like that, it's usually the 4 sections. Yeah, so those were darker. Like I said, we apply it to the ends last because that's where the hair is usually the most porous. Now, the only thing that's going to make a difference on that, let's say the ends are damaged. Okay, the ends are always damaged on everybody, right? Everybody can go like this and like look at their ends and see something that needs to be cut, right? I haven't had my hair cut since May. Yeah. I'm actually going to get it cut and maybe some color on Thursday. So I'm really excited about that because it's been a long time. May or June, I think, was the last time I got a haircut. It needs help, right? So anyways, when you get to the porous part, right, that's the part that's going to absorb the moisture. When I'm down there at the bottom of my hair.
That's not even got you some pizza right here.
Julianne, that's not necessary. Stop it. So when you get down to the bottom of where the hair is the most porous, you know, we're saying 1 inch because we're thinking that everyone has like the most perfect hair, right? But if someone's hair is a little more damaged or a little bit more porous farther up than 1 inch, then you'll only apply the color till it gets to that very super porous area. Because remember, the porous hair is going to suck that color up. It's going to make it appear darker. So we got to kind of figure out where that line might be, where the porosity becomes extreme compared to the rest of the hair. Usually it's like the last inch or 2, because most people, you know, if their hair is that damaged, we're not going to be coloring it. So it's the last inch or 2. And most people, I mean, like 99% of the time, when you get your hair colored, you get a haircut. Because it's time to do the whole, you know, the whole thing, right? It's been a month or 6 weeks or however long it's been since you've done your hair. If you've never colored your hair, wait, this is virgin. If you've never colored your hair before, you know, it's probably time for a haircut. So that's why we just say like those last little, you know, porous ends. But the porous ends on some people could be half a hair strand. It just really depends on you. So that's one thing you have to check for too. So now we're going to go into a virgin tint to lighten or a virgin bleach. The difference is the product that you're using. One's bleach, one's hair color. But the application is the same. Okay, the application is exactly the same on the hair. You both start in the back. Now the product is different. So the application of the product, it's kind of the same too, but you got to work with them a little bit different. The actual hair color itself is going to be a little bit more creamier, where the bleach itself is kind of powdery, and then you mix it with developer. So it is creamy, but it's kind of gritty, kind of has like some grit in it, where the hair color is going to be more smooth. So when you're applying this to the hair, it does make a little bit of a difference in your application. The bleach is going to have a tendency to like kind of clump together a little bit more, where the hair color is going to spread a little bit easier, a little bit nicer throughout. So again, we're going to want to put our protector cream on. We're going to want to drape our client, make sure that they're all draped and suited up and ready to go. We have protective cream. We've done all the client consultation. We've done all of the PD tests required. Now, with bleach, a PD test is not required with bleach. So if you're just going to bleach, you don't need to do a PD test. But if you're doing hair color to lighten, you definitely need to do a PD test. So that's something that you'll have to figure out during your consultation, just what product you're going
Why
to.
don't you need a PD test using bleach? You would think that that was more dangerous than hair color.
Bleach doesn't have any aniline derivative in it. So what it's doing is just diffusing natural pigment. It's not adding anything to it. So with hair color, you're like adding pigment to it. So that's why, but bleach doesn't have it in there. So that's why we don't. All right, so we're gonna start in the back. Remember back here, this is where the hair is the darkest. So I mean, if their hair is really, really dark in this area, you could even section this and do the bottom half to do the top half. Now you see in videos where people will come in and they unclip the hair and they drop this down and then they turn around, they clip this back up and then they apply their product and then they take the clip out and they take that and you drop it down. That takes too long. Sorry, but that just takes way too long for me. What I want to do is get my product on as fast as I possibly can. Remember, you'll have to do one of these applications at board. So we want to make sure that we get these on there as fast as possible with the neatest application. So now on the head, right, you got heat coming off your head. So it's known as a heat zone. When we go lighter, if we went from the scalp out to the porous ends like we did when we go darker, it would be lighter at the scalp. You get, that's called hot roots, okay? We don't want hot roots. We do not want our roots hot, okay? So when we go to apply this, we're gonna have to come 1 inch off the scalp. So the easiest way to do that is just put your finger down, that's about 1 inch. When you put your finger right here, that's about 1 inch till you can get to where you can eyeball it. If you come to the top of where your finger's gonna be and bring this out, mid-strand only. Now we get down to the porous ends, we're not gonna apply to that either. So it's a 1/2 inch off the scalp up to the porous ends is your application. And we're gonna lay that over. We're gonna come into our next piece. 1/2 inch off the scalp up to the porous ends. Again, if the section gets too wide for you to handle it, divide it in half. Now I gotta say that when I watch, when we're doing like our baby boards and stuff like that, and I watch students do this, they do great at the top. Because again, we only wanna take about 1/4 inch. We wanna make this hair like see-through practically, 1/2 inch off the scalp up to the porous ends. But what happens is when they get down towards the bottom and it's a little bit harder to see, we're getting real thick sections. We're not even getting 1/4 inch or to 1/8 inch sections. We're getting like 1.5 inch sections. And it's harder to hold the hair up. So what I see happening is, so see how I'm pulling it out and I'm applying it so it seeps through to the other side. What I see happening is hair getting picked up and this. You are smashing all of that hair together. Where's the difference? How is it going to end up being able to just be on that mid strand when you're smashing it all together like that? It's not. So what we want to make sure that we do when we're down in here and we're pulling this out is we want to make sure that we're staying our 1/2 inch off to the mid strand. If you go to put it up and it doesn't stay, you're probably to hold it in your hand. It's not that hard, especially down here where the hair gets thicker.
Miss Connie, this is so much better than school. I'm learning.
Okay. Well, guess what? When you come to school Thursday, I want to see what you learned.
I learned a lot.
Okay, now see, we don't want to hold it up like that because it's going to get smashed, right? We want to pull it out so that the hair goes through to the other side. And if it doesn't want to stay, you're going to have to hold it in your hand. Just pull up the next piece. Do the same thing. Again, we have to pull this down. If we don't pull it down, what happens? That oxygen does not go through. So I'm going to pull this down. As we pull it down, check the other side. Make sure that it goes all the way through. Pull it down. Now, once this gets all applied, we're going to wait till our hair gets about half of where we want it. So if we're doing color and it says, 30-minute processing time, in 15 minutes, we're going to go back and apply it to the scalp. That's our second application with this. If we're doing bleach, we're just going to have to wait and keep checking it till it gets where we want. Again, bleach has only got about a 45 to 55-minute max time on the hair, and then it just kind of like stops working, stops getting any lighter. It's not that it stops working because it can still damage the hair, but it's just not getting any lighter. So after we've got our halfway to the desired color, we're going to come back in, and it's almost kind of hard to get the exact pieces that you picked up, but we're going to try. And we're going to apply it to the scalp and just kind of brush it out a little bit more. Now, lightening is usually a little bit more stronger than going darker. I don't know if that's quite the right word, but the chemical is a little bit stronger, I guess, because we're using a higher developer. So combing through here is not such a great idea because it's going to like damage the hair more. So, or you can possibly cause breakage. So what you want to do is make sure that your application is neat and thorough. If you don't get it thoroughly saturated, then you're probably going to end up with different colored hair. So the whole idea is try to keep it neat. See, this is a little wide for me to handle at once, so I'm just kind of like dividing it in half. Especially bleach. We don't want to comb bleach through anyone's hair. You can comb hair color if you're doing a tint to lighten. You can comb it, but we want to make sure that we have the right type of comb. We're not putting any undue stress on that hair by trying to comb it through with a comb that's like getting tangled up or something in their hair. We don't want to do that. Okay, so now we're going to bring this down again. So now we've got, let's say, 15 minutes of processing time. We'll say it's a 45-minute processing time. I got 15 minutes of processing time. I got the color that I wanted on the mid strand. I've got another 15 minutes of processing time to get the scalp the same color as the mid strand. But I've got a 45-minute processing time. So now I've got like, 10 more minutes. I need to get it through these ends. Okay, the ends are going to be the very last. But like with going darker, we combed it. Can't really comb when we're going lighter. So go ahead and comb it if the hair allows it. But if it's bleached, don't do it. So I'm just going to kind of come down here at the bottom this time and just kind of add it through. Get my next piece, add that through. That's what my next ones look like. Come down here, add all this through. Maybe break some of that up, add it through here. And again, I'm gonna let this process. When it's been like, you know, about my 40 minutes, I wanna come in and do my test strand. So I have my towel, pull off a piece of hair here. Remember, you have to do these test strands on board, so get in the habit of doing them. Besides, it helps you a lot to see what color you have, if it needs longer. Look at it. If it's reached the desired color, it's probably ready. If not, you just add it back into the color and you go from there. Okay, so virgin tint, virgin bleach, the same type of application, just two different products. So the product is going to be a little different. Now bleach, it's going to get these things that we call holidays. I don't know why they call them holidays. They just call them holidays. And after it sits on the head for a second, it just sort of disappears. It just sort of evaporates off the head. So what you want to do is go back through and check your application after about 10 minutes and make sure, because the hair's going to already start to lighten. So it's probably looking kind of reddish orangish at this time. So you can see that it's just a little bit lighter than the other hair. Make sure that it looks like it's covered too, because for some reason, bleach just does that. I know there's a reason, I just can't remember what it is. So we want to make sure that we cover all that up and it stays that way. So about every 10 minutes while it's processing, go back through and just check it and just make sure that it stays saturated, because bleach will dry faster than color too, especially around the hairline. So about every 10 minutes, yeah, make sure that you have that thoroughly saturated, thoroughly covered. And maybe even put a plastic cap over the head if you're going lighter. Sometimes that helps hold the heat in from the head so it processes a little bit faster. Some bleaches will say to put them underneath a heated dryer for a few minutes just to kind of jumpstart that lightening process. But again, we got to be careful with the hair during our consultation to make sure that we have the right type of hair to be doing this to, because, you know, we don't want to damage it. Okay, so is there any questions on lighter or bleach?
Okay, I have a question. So I recently did like purple peekaboos on my sister. However, some of them came out like a lighter purple than the others. So I just was wondering, like, if I should have had like the bleach process for longer, like how the bottom was kind of like a little bit lighter. Is that what went wrong, or?
How did you apply the bleach?
So because I did her one bottom layer, and that I did, like, I wrapped in foil, but I kind of took it out sooner than the strands that I did. And I applied it like kind of how you said not to, where you just kind of flicker it. Like I did that way, but yeah.
So there's so many different factors that could have played into that. Was her hair long?
Yeah, really long.
Okay. So long hair, think about this, you know, long hair has been on your head for a long time, right? It's not like, the scalp has not been on your head as long as the hair at the end. So through the years, it's went through, you know, how many summers, how many winters, you know, how many blow dries or flat irons or irons or whatever it is, you put the hair at the end without it being cut off. So that hair's like, lack of a better term, that hair's like,
What's going on with your volume? Can't really hear you.
Yeah, it's like low.
let's see.
It's because someone's unmuted.
I turned it up all. No. Okay, can you hear me better now? Yeah, okay. So what's happening, for lack of a better term, with long hair is that it's like the ends are like old compared to, you know, the roots. And so, you know, it's been through all the blow dries and all the summers and, you know, all the shampoos and waters and all that. So it is a little bit more like susceptible to lightening and things like that easier
than the roots, because it's like, I don't want to say it's damaged, but you know, it kind of has been on there a lot longer. So when you have long hair like that, the porosity is uneven. So I kind of think of it as like potholes in the street. You know, when you're driving down the street and you got like a bumpy or uneven road, if they pave that and they make it smooth, then it's going to be a nice smooth surface. So before you do hair like that, you probably should do some porosity fillers, just to sort of fill in all those intercellular spaces that are just like all uneven, so that you'll get more of an even surface to work with. And that's what happens with color. When it's missing like a cuticle layer, or it's missing something, all that color is going to pull out a lot easier in those areas than it is the other areas. So those types of things are always a good thing to use, especially on long hair, because you don't ever really know with long hair, you know, because what if there was color that was put on there like 5 years ago?
What's a porosity filler?
A porosity filler is, it's a product that you just, usually they're sprays, and you just spray them on the hair before you do a chemical service. And it just kind of goes in and fills in all those parts that are missing, like the potholes on the street, and just sort of fills all that in and makes it more even surface for you to work on. So therefore your color is supposed to come out more even and take more evenly. Yeah, so it's supposed to help it make it work.
So that would be a good thing to have like on hand.
Yes. Every manufacturer, he wanted to be part of it. Every manufacturer that makes hair color makes like a whole family of products to go with it. And, you know, they usually have like pre-color treatments or post-color treatments, and, you know, during color treatments, porosity fillers. I mean, they have a whole line of products that goes with it. So like find, you know, a line that you like, and, you know, just kind of go with it, because the manufacturers claim that if you use those products that you get better results with your color, you know, if you use their products that go along with it. And yeah, I mean, it's true. They're all made to work together. The things that the ingredients that they put in those bottles, you know, they're all made to work together. There's some products that I really like the one porosity filler I use. Well, I don't even know if it's a porosity filler. It's like a liquid keratin. I use it with everything. I love it. You know, I don't care what the brand is. I'm going to use this product with it because I just feel like I get really good results with it. So a lot of that, you know, your preference, your personal preference, right? What's the best? The one you like. That's what I always say. What's the best shampoo? What's the best conditioner? What's the best this? The one you like. That's the best one, because we all like something different, you know? So, I mean, I can tell you what I like, doesn't mean you're going to like it. So yeah, that's that stuff. So did that answer help you, Deja? Yeah, okay. Any other questions on this portion? Okay, so we're talking about retouches when you go lighter, because retouches when you go darker, it's just the same. It's just whatever's grown out. It just depends on how much is going to be for how much you charge for that. But retouches when you go lighter, that's a whole other story. So we've got that heat zone that comes off the scalp, right? It's hot, it's heat. You could, like some people, you can just come up like this and you're getting ready to comb their hair and you can like feel the heat coming off their scalp. That's gonna take real fast if you're trying to go lighter. You know, some people are cold, and it depends on the time of the year too. In the summertime, I always think hair color results end up better, especially if you're going lighter than it does in the winter, just because the body temperature, you know, it's like colder, air temperature maybe. So when we're getting ready to do a retouch, it is new growth only, but we've got someone now with the retouch going lighter. You better not have more than an inch of an outgrowth, because what's gonna happen, you have more than an inch of an outgrowth, is you're going to have to go back and apply it that half an inch off the scalp. Wait that 30 minutes. You're going to have to apply it like a virgin application. So if someone came in with hair like this and they have, let's see, they have an outgrowth like halfway, I'm going to have to apply this half an inch from the scalp up to that line of demarcation and leave these ends out. Then I'm going to have to go back through, and after my 30 minutes or however my timing works, and apply it from the scalp and bring it back up to that line of demarcation. That's where it gets tricky, because if somebody has an inch and a half of outgrowth and you're only going to apply it to that 1 inch and then have to go back through and apply it to that scalp, it's a little bit more tricky than it is doing it, you know, the other virgin. So it's real important that you educate your client on how to do this outgrowth, or when to come back in before the outgrowth gets so outgrown that it's going to be harder on you. And people do that all the time, and they're like, oh, I want to get a retouch, and they have bleach on their hair, and they have, you know, like 2 inches of outgrowth or 3 inches of outgrowth, and they want to just get a retouch, and trying to explain to them that they have so much outgrowth that it's not a retouch. Now we're talking about corrective color, you know, and now we have to charge them extra because it's a harder application. It's more product, you know, it's just like doing a virgin hair color. It's not a retouch. And explaining that to the client, sometimes they don't quite, but I'm not doing my whole head, I'm just doing my outgrowth. Yes, but your outgrowth is really a lot of outgrowth, and it ends up being a virgin hair color. So, you know, that's always fun to try to explain that to them. But just make sure that you're really aware of that heat zone coming off the head, because that's going to make all the difference in the world when you're going lighter. Because lighter, you end up with hot roots, which they're not attractive. Anyone seen that, right? You've seen people out there that like their roots are like a shade or two lighter than the rest of their hair. Yeah, that's because they just put it all over their whole head and, you know, went from there. I've seen that several times. And they're like, I don't know what happened. When YouTube first came out, well, I don't know if it first came out, but when people started looking at hair color on YouTube and thinking that they could, you know, leave us out and start doing stuff off of YouTube, you know how many corrective things we got because people were watching these videos and are like, oh yeah, I can do that. Yeah, no, you can't. So that was always fun. All right, do we have any more questions on lightning? Okay, so now when sometimes people get their hair lightened, they need a toner, right? You lighten it, it's too yellow or it's too yellow-orange, and you're gonna want to get a toner. So toner applications on pre-bleached hair or pre-lightened hair, right? Where do you start, front or back? Because now the hair is just light already. So where are we going to start with this? Well, we're going to start in the back. Okay, we're going to go from the scalp to the porous ends, just like the application if you were going darker. It's the same application. So if you're noticing this, which I hope you are, because I see a lot of you that look like you're messing around, you're going to get your scalp to porous ends, or you're going to get your mid-strand application, or the roots only. Okay, those are the 3 applications along the hair strand that you're going to be using. But now, what product are you using? That's what makes the big difference. And where are you starting on the head? Okay, so if you're doing your toner, you're going to start in the back, but you're going to apply it from the scalp up to the porous ends. Okay, now toners on pre-bleached hair. Pre-bleached hair is like super absorbent. It's got a lot of porosity going on in there. So you can actually do a little bit of a thicker section. Not much though. But you got to think you've already bleached the hair or lightened it. Now you're shampooing it off and you're getting ready to remove those unwanted tones. So the hair's wet, but you don't want to apply it to wet hair, not freshly shampooed wet hair. You want to apply it to hair that is like slightly damp. So it doesn't have to be like damp a little bit, but not like where it's dripping, or you can look at it and it looks like super soaking wet. We don't want to do that, because remember, the hair is already in a porous state. It's already sucked up that water. Hair only holds so much moisture. That's why it drips all over the place, right? So when it's holding all this moisture and we try to add more on top of it, it's not going to take correctly. It's going to take uneven. So we want to make sure that our hair is a little bit dry before we put the toner on. And you know what, Deja, I was just thinking about that. Like you said, with your sister's hair on the purple, sometimes too, when there's a lot of moisture left in that hair, those colors like purple, greens, blues, you know, those types of colors won't take evenly along the hair either because of the porosity of the existing hair. So sometimes if you're going to be doing a color like that, it's best to towel dry, or blow dry it a little bit. You know, detangle it and get all that moisture out of it. Try to keep it kind of even. We want it evenly damp, not like freshly shampooed. That makes a difference too. So maybe that was something I just thought about. I don't know, I just thought about. So when we're doing our toner, again, a toner retouch is just on new growth only, right? That's all we're doing is the new growth. But when we're doing the toner on the pre-bleached hair, it's scalp up to porous ends. Now toners are tricky because the hair has already been lightened. This hair is already extremely porous. Porous is going to suck up that product. It's going to make it take faster. So most hair color has like 30 to 45 minutes, but now we've got toner. Toner is going to take 5 to 20 minutes. That's it. So 5 to 20 minutes is all you have on there, which means you need to move fast. This application has to be done quickly, very, very quickly. So again, you're just going to start in the back on the top, go from the scalp to the porous ends and apply that. Usually toners, I mean, by the time you get the last section done, the first section's ready. So this is why you have to move fast. I mean, it's like 5 minutes probably is about it on some people, depending on how light you get their hair to start with. So we want to make sure that we definitely check test strands, work fast and work quick. When you're at state board, you only have like, I think it's 20 minutes to do the process. Now, granted, it is just one section of hair, but you still have to get your stuff out, you have to get ready, you have to do, you know, all different types of draping. Well, no, you'll already be draped, but you have to get all your supplies out and make sure that you're cleaning it up and working along there also. What are you raising your hand for? Julian, what are you raising your hand for?
Oh, we just had a question, but I forgot.
Okay. So that is our.
It looks good, Miss Connie.
Yeah, you guys just like threw me off my little train of thought here. So, which any different than when you're here. So we're gonna do our toners on pre-bleached hair. So remember that with state board, you've got 20 minutes, which means we need to practice these applications. Okay, we need to practice the sectioning, we need to practice the applications and get them down, because I can't remember off the top of my head which ones barbers get and which ones Cosmos get, but I know you're gonna get one of them. So we're definitely gonna have to practice that for sure. So I know that you have your assignments for today. We're up on that board out there. Was there anyone who did not get that? I know Kayla, you're new, you probably didn't. Was anyone, and phase 1, you have your nail assignments to do. So that's what you'll be working on. But the ROPs, you've got a packet which should have the things on there for you. So I guess phase 2, barber and floor. Did you take a picture of the board that was out there on Saturday or this week? If not, let me go ahead and just retell you what to do. I know phase 1, you're doing nails. So your theory, well, that was a weird notification. I took a picture of it so I could read it here. Your, and I know Miss Janie gave you some type of an assignment to do. So when you get ready to do that assignment, start your lab session tracker or text it in. Hey, I'm starting. Here's my assignment. Take a picture of it, send it in when you're done. Let's see. That was last week. Here we go. Let's see. Chapter 7, key terms if you have not done it, smart notes if you have not done it. Watch the 9:15 and 9:16 Zooms that are on YouTube. Practice partings and scalp treatments on family members or mannequin head. These need to be turned in by taking a picture and sending it in on ZipWhip. Also attend the live Zooms. So those are the things for you to do after you get off the call to make sure that you're still getting the rest of your 6-hour credit. Kayla, I know you're brand new, so you're okay, because I don't think you have it yet. So you're okay, you're just here. No, okay, you're here, you're good. But for the rest of you that are not ROP and that are not phase 1, that's your assignments. For that, you should have gotten in a text message a link to the YouTube channel. You're supposed to be looking at 9:15 and 9:16 Zoom calls for that day. Okay, so remember, you have to be doing the 6 hours these 2 days to get the full credit for the other days too. Yes, phase 1, that includes you. So phase 1, 2 and 3, floor and barbers, you still have, as long as you're doing the Zoom calls, you still have to do the other assignments that are given to you in order for you to get your 6 hours a day. I know ROPs, you have something a little bit different. And Tracy students, you need to check with Miss Jen and Miss B on what you're supposed to be doing. Because I don't know.
I was on LOA last week.
Okay. So, well, that's this week, what I just told you, so you'll be good on that. I think, chapter 7. Yeah, we started chapter 7 today with Miss Jamie.
I already sent all that in.
Oh, well, look at you.
Yeah.
Miss Connie,
Good job.
for the ROPs, are we only doing our packets Monday, Thursday, and Friday, and then we only have to do the classes on Tuesdays and Wednesdays? Like, if we only do those 2 classes, do we get all our hours and like we're good?
Let me go get Miss Sue for that.
Okay.
Okay, ROPs, Ms. Sue said to do the packets and the Zooms and any of the homework that has been assigned through the Zoom calls. Okay.
Miss Connie, I also do like a packet, but sorry. But do I do the assignments as well, like the partying and all that too? Okay. Let me see.
So yeah, that's what Mr. Sue just said for the ROPs, to do the packets and do the Zooms. Okay, for ROPs. For everybody else, just do it.
Miss Connie?
Yes.
So all my stuff is at school in the locker, so I don't know how I'm supposed to do anything on my doll head today.
Oh.
I thought we were supposed to leave everything at school, not keep taking it back and forth.
Not everything, but that's why those assignments are put up there on Saturdays for you guys to look at that and just see what you need to take with you. Because you don't have to take like everything. There'll be a few things that you'll need to bring back and forth.
I have a question too.
Yes. Okay.
When does ROP get their doll head and their kit?
Oh, good question. We're looking at Friday between 3 and 4.
Okay, thank you.
You'll be getting a notice. All that stuff is being worked on, so you'll be getting a notice when you can come in, but that's the plan. Yes, Brenda.
So like I don't want to sound dumb, but I have a question. What's it called? So I'm a little confused because you at the beginning you mentioned like clock in, say that you're starting your time, but like is it for time for like the operations or what time? What is it for?
Yeah, for theory, for operations, whenever you start doing schoolwork, just clock in.
Okay, but like how about if I do it like because I do it in times.
Mhm.
I'll do it like in the afternoon and then I'll pause and then I'll like do it later. So do I like say I'm pausing or like
Yeah.
you're running?
I'm taking a break. I'll be back, tonight or something, or I'm done for right now. I'll be back later tonight or just something. No, don't keep it running because you're not doing anything during that time when you're breaking. So let's say everybody clocks in, like you text in or you use your lab session tracker and you clock in and you're clocked in for like an hour. And you're doing your assignments that you're supposed to be working on for that hour, and then you take a picture of whatever you were working on for that hour and you send it in. Then you say, okay, like you clock out. So then let's say you go have lunch or whatever, and then you come back and you clock back in for another hour. Say, okay, I'm clocking in, send it in. Hey, I'm clocking in, or clock back in, do whatever you're doing for like 2 more hours or 3 more hours, and then you clock out. And then like later on that night, you're like, okay, I still need to do 2 more hours. So you clock back in for 2 more hours, or you text in and then you do that for 2 more hours and then you clock out and you got your 6 hours or your 5 hours, how many hours that just was, I don't even know. And you're done and you have it for the day. But we can't track you. We can't give you hours if we just see that you've started something and that's it. Like we don't see anything else. You know how many on the lab session tracking on lab or the text messages we got this last week that says, started, and that's it. Nothing else after that. Well, how do I know what you did? We don't know. We have no clue. And this is for Tuesday and Wednesday. So, I mean, when you're here, it's a different story, but when you're not home, when you're not here and, on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and we're looking at this stuff, we don't know what to give you if we can't figure it out. So you may have done, 6 hours worth of work, but you just said, oh, hey, I'm clocking in, and that's it. So what do we give you? Nothing, because that's all we can give you. There's no proof. So make sure that you're backing everything up. You're backing all your stuff up, clocking in, clocking out, sending in pictures, doing all that. Because if you just say, hey, I'm clocking in and I'm clocking out, but then you don't send us any pictures, or we just see you started your session, we see you ended your session, but we don't see anything that you did, what are we supposed to give you? You may have done it, but there was nothing on there to show what you did. So, we got to make sure that we're keeping all of that backed up, because now you guys have to take care of that while you're at home, because we don't know what you're doing at home. So.
Or would it be easier if we say like, oh, today I did like this many hours, and then we send in the work we did, like pictures? Would that be easier?
We just need 1 picture, okay? We don't need 25 pictures. If you're working on Smart Notes, it's just the front page.
Okay, but would that be easier to do, like, I did this many hours and then send in the work?
No, we have to know what time you did the hours. So you have to start your tracking and you have to end your tracking.
Hi, everybody.
I'm
we're watching the YouTube videos that were recording.
Yes.
And it's on there, okay. And they're practicing parting.
Oh, so ROPs, you need to watch the YouTube videos too for that 9:16 and 9:15.
And then text in that you're starting your time and you're ending your time.
Oh.
Okay. And then also practice parting on your family members. And that was it. I knew there was something.
There's Brenda. Yes, Brenda.
So also, like I know how you guys mentioned that we were gonna do Tuesdays and Wednesdays Zoom, so that counts as like 3 hours, right? Plus the extra work that we do. But on like on Monday, Thursday, and Friday, how are we supposed to complete those 6 hours?
You're by doing your packets as well.
So, but I mean, since
you're starting on whatever day. Go ahead.
I mean, since like we start our packets and then we like kind of do them throughout like Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we kind of like have it finished. So how are we supposed to like continue the hours is what I meant.
You can go ahead, you just have to text your time in. So you just slow your packet down or, yeah, okay.
Okay. So just slow it down so you can complete like 3 hours a day?
Yes.
Okay. Also, so I turned in my packet last week, and then Donovan gave me back like all like my Word thing.
Yes, you guys keep your key terms, please. So, I mean, you can bring them in, but when you go to give me your packet, I want you to keep your own key terms. And I want you to keep a folder. So you have a folder of all your key terms.
Okay, so we can complete it, or but we won't turn it in.
Well, bring it in and then just take it back with you.
That way she can give you credit for turning it in.
And if you drop it off at the front desk, then let somebody else know that you need your key terms back. I want you guys to keep them. I am keeping them for you, but I'd rather you keep them yourself. A lot of paperwork I have to keep.
There's a lot of papers. So yeah, the same thing with everyone else. You know, when you do your key terms, just take a picture of the front page. Send it in. But keep them. Don't get rid of them.
Yeah.
Same thing if you print out your Smart Notes, you know, just take a picture of the front page. We don't need, 25 pictures from people in one day. That's too many pictures, you're right. Say one front page.
Oh.
So just another question. So also on the packet, I'm really kind of confused. So on the packet on here, like on this page,
yes.
Are we supposed to just choose like an operation and write down what we did, or are you guys gonna assign a certain operation?
Was that the pictures that you were supposed to draw in the little squares?
Yeah, it's like this.
Okay, yes. So you're supposed to be with the scalp treatment, I believe.
Oh, it's the scalp treatment. Okay.
You're going to write out your steps, and then you're going to check it off as you do it.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
And that actually, you do that, and I can give you operation.
So it's scalp treatment and parting for. Sorry.
Yes. Yes, practice your parting. That's so important.
So it's scalp treatment and parting for.
She keeps going out.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Also, on this one, I wasn't also sure what to do, like, because it just says like texture. Like, what about texture?
Look at your picture or your book, and you find a picture of a texture hair, curly texture hair, and different textures, and then you draw in different textures.
Oh, we're supposed to draw. Okay.
Draw in those little squares.
So like wool would be defined as what texture? Like you could put that in a box. One of the boxes, like coarse hair, could be wool. You know, it could feel like wool, let's say.
Or we can just write wool, or we have to draw.
Well, if it was me, I would write because I don't know how to draw. But if you could draw, then if I could draw, I would draw. You know? So I want to make sure that we have it because I don't know how you would draw silk, but okay. You know?
Oh, that was all the questions that I had.
Okay, good questions. Anyone else have questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
Okay, so apart from from Zoom and the packet, we still have to work on the assignments that they text in?
No, we only work on that one assignment that we told you. I think it's on your text messages. It should be that you're to pick up a packet, you're to do the Zooms, but you're supposed to be texting in. I'm starting my work, I'm ending my work. 5.5 hours later, I'm ending my work. That way I can kind of keep track of your time. And what was the other question? What was I going to
Okay, so do we text you when we start on our packets?
Yep, you said I'm starting my work.
Oh, okay.
Now I'm ending my work. What was the other? Well, you had something else. I don't think I answered it completely. No?
No, I think that was it. Just yeah, that was it.
And then there's whatever assigned YouTube videos or whatever your text message. Then just follow those. But mainly, and most important thing is texting in your time and returning your packet It's got to be done by Monday, guys, because I'm getting laggers and I have to go back and put the time in. So Monday to Monday, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Good morning.
Okay, so I know that I'm missing some people here, and I want to make sure everyone gets credit. So listen carefully, because I'm going to call out names, and I want to make sure that I have everyone on here. So I have Alexia, Alexis, Alicia, Aubrey, Cassandra, Elizabeth, Eva, Evie, Haley, Isabella, Jasmine, Jessica, Judith, Catherine, Kayla, Lauren, Leslie, Lorena, Brenda, Jose, Julian, Max, Melissa, Mercedes, Nadia, Natalie, Nate, Peyton, Ruben, Saida, Samantha, Selena, Treese, Satali, Jocelyn, Shay, Deja, Amanda, Benny, Nick, Stephanie, Vanessa, Jocelyn, Yasmin, Ashley. Okay, who did I miss?
You didn't call me, Miss Connie.
Julian and Lugo.
I got you.
All right.
Did I miss anyone else? No. Hi, baby.
Say hi, Miss Connie.
Hi. That's not the same one that was talking to me the other day, is it?
No, this is her here. Raven, say hi to Miss
Oh,
Connie.
hi. How are you?
She's shy right now.
So yeah, because the other one looks younger. Okay, did I miss anyone else? No. Okay, good. All right, so everyone knows what to do. If not, we'll be here for a few more minutes. Just call in and we'll give you guys, we'll answer your questions. Like I said, Tracy, check with Miss Jen or Miss V, see what they have over there, or Mr. Narcy, see what's up over there. Okay, so you guys all stay safe, and we will see you tomorrow at 1. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.